Welcome to our Sunday night meditation. We're starting a new format. And in this format, I'm asking for questions submitted by email, or during the meditation, you can actually put it in the chat if you have a question. But I have three questions here, and they're all pretty good. The first one is, how do you deal with feeling overwhelmed with task and responsibilities? Another word for that is stress. Stress is being overwhelmed by your task and your responsibilities. Generally, you're having to do something, maybe not that you don't want to do, but maybe having to do it under a time constraint. That can usually make a very wonderful thing not so wonderful. So time constraints are one thing. Being overwhelmed. Hmm. I think everybody is a little different. And there is no one on the planet that I can imagine that doesn't at one time feel overwhelmed. Things are just too much. The older I get, the more these gosh darn contraptions, computer gizmos give me a hard time. What my granddaughter can pick up an application and have it fully blown and figured out in 5 minutes takes me a couple of days sometimes. It's just age. It's just something that happens. But feeling overwhelmed is that you have committed to something, or that you feel obligated to something that you can't quite do, maybe in the time constraints that you're given. I used to paint coffee tables. I loved it. It was one of the best things I did. I'd get a big round spool, like the electrical wires in, and I'd take it apart and get the round part, and I'd find an old office chair that somebody had thrown out, and I'd take the seat off of it and add a few bolts so it'd get level, and I'd have this big coffee table that would rotate around. It was quite a fun thing. And I would paint things on it, and it was just the most fun thing to do. And then one day, this lady hired me to do one for her, but it had a time constraint. And it became what was before an activity of beauty and wonder and just plain fun, became a job. And then the time constraints, I felt I was being hurried, I was being rushed. That was the last one I ever did, because I felt overwhelmed. So time constraints can overwhelm you. Having too many things to do at once with no time to do them all correctly is overwhelming. Sorry about that. Having having all of these constraints, too many things coming to you. You can't keep up. You feel frustrated and confused. That can overwhelm you. So I suggest that you increase your meditation. I know this sounds kind of crazy because you're overwhelmed and you've got all this stuff to do and all these people depending on you or whatever. And I'm telling you to stop and meditate. It's a good way to start the day anyway, is to sit down and meditate for 20 or 30 minutes. In the 20 or 30 minutes, if you can stop your thought for 40, 50 seconds, that's pretty good. But the rest of the time, you're just doing your mantra, you're doing your stuff. But if you can just stop your thought for like 30 or 40 seconds, like this. Start your mantra again. You'll find that when you start stopping your thoughts, a lot of these pressures and everything you'll start dealing with them better during the day. It's one of the benefits of meditation. It's like you can do things clearer and cleaner when you meditate. When I was studying with my teacher, there was a lot of things to do. We were very overwhelmed at times, but the meditation allowed me throughout the day, even though things were coming to me, new jobs, new things, martial arts, running, all of the stuff that we did. And you still had to do other things. And sometimes it seemed overwhelming. But we meditated. I'd meditate 90 minutes every morning. And that gave me a clarity of mind that let me cut through all of the confusion, cut through all of the pressure, cut through all of the expectations of others, all the expectations I had of myself. Just cut through it. And you can do that when you meditate really sincerely every morning. I would suggest that you meditate at least 20 minutes. Be better if you could do 30. And if you've been meditating for many years, kick it up to 45 minutes. But get your meditation heavy, and that will help you deal with this feeling of being overwhelmed, of being under pressure, of feeling like you bit off more than you can chew, which we always do, apparently, but you can deal with it. So I think just maybe I'd answer that. I hope I answered that for you. Oh, here's a good one. Dealing with psychic energy thievery. Psychic energy thievery. Well, I haven't heard that one before, but let me look at it. Okay. We're all psychic. Every sentient being is psychic. There's just one divine, great mind, and it individualizes itself in sentient beings, such as humans. But it's a psychic soup we live in. Everything here, everything that you see is a psychic projection of the divine. Nothing here is real. It just appears that way to us because we're in this body dealing with limitations of every kind. Mental limitations, cultural limitations, spiritual limitations, physical limitations. We have nothing but limitations here. But we come from an unlimited source. Underneath it all is the Buddha nature. Underneath it all is the source of all being and all creation. So we're in a psychic thing here. So I think the question more has to do with how do you deal with the psychic impressions you're getting from someone else, which is also possible because we live in a oneness. We're all connected. So what I suggest you do is, if you know where this person is, it could be an old lover or somebody, who knows, but if you could find out who it is, then in your mind, you can do the high heart on them and just send unconditional love. But the other thing that you can do that doesn't hurt them at all is to look at yourself and ask yourself, what part of me, of my being, needs their approval, their love, their appreciation, their recognition? If I need that from anybody, then that need opens up a doorway for me to get their psychic impressions, because I need their approval. They're not going to give it, but I open up that little door and here it comes. So I suggest that you, if you know this person, who it is, that you feel like you're getting psychic, or maybe a group of people, I don't know, just keep at it. Why is this bothering me? Why am I open to this? What part of me needs their approval? What part of me wants them to understand me? What part of me wants them to love me? We all want that, don't we? But some people aren't going to give it to you. They're just too caught up in their world. So if you can do that, just eliminate that need within yourself, you'll take care of a great deal of the psychic interference that you're feeling. And the rest of it, you just high heart. You just take that, put it into the nothingness, feel it with unconditional love, and feel them with unconditional love, and let it go. Nobody can take anything from you unless you let it go, unless you let them. And the only way you let them is by opening up to allow them to take it. And you have charge. It's your life. It's your reality. It's not anybody else's. So yeah, take a time and do some self-evaluation on this person or this group of people that you feel are psychically interfering with you. Just keep asking yourself, why am I open to them? It doesn't hurt them when you're not. As a matter of fact, I think it does them better if you can shut off that opening, because they're creating bad karma for themselves by shooting you that energy or trying to take energy from you. That's just bad karma. I mean, why would you want to steal somebody's energy? Why not just go to the source and get the pure? Why do you have to filter it through all of their stuff and all of your stuff? And by the time it gets to you, it's pretty polluted, when you can just go right directly to the source and get the pure stuff. So yeah, I used to be very psychic, very aware of the psychic influence of others, but I've learned to close it off. So that's good. I hope that helped you. We'll see. So good luck with that. I think I'd like to meditate here before we go to the next one. So let's try this one silently without the music. Just going to meditate for just a couple of minutes here, and just do it in the silence. If you want, you can observe me as I meditate. That would probably be a good idea. That's good. Take a breath. Open your eyes if they're closed. The last question I have is maintaining a sense of humor. Yeah. Well, I think one way to do that is to not watch the complete news. I like to keep up on the world. I do. I like to see what's going on in the world. So I'll get on YouTube and I'll look up, some news station, and I'll watch. They'll have a story, and I'll watch the first 2 or 3 minutes of the story, and I know what the story is about. Then I just shut it off, because the rest of it is just conjecture, repeating the story over and over again from a different angle, and usually putting some sort of fear or outrage in it. And I don't need any of those energies. So watch what you're watching. That's one thing. What you touch touches you, as I've said many times. But a sense of humor, I think the first thing to do is learn to laugh at yourself, because you're the funniest person around. You're always doing goofy things. Yeah. And what we do sometimes, when we do something kind of offbeat or goofy, we suddenly realize we did it, and we get embarrassed, and now we're ashamed. And none of that stuff is very fun. Sometimes you can change a scenario inside your mind. And I've talked about this many times, but this is really a good thing to do. For instance, when you're driving and somebody runs up behind you, gets right on your bumper for about 3 minutes, and then pulls around you and honks their horn, and they run in front of you, throw their brakes on, and then they do back and forth. Then they head on down the road. And that kind of energy can upset you for days. But I found, if I just tell myself when they're doing that, oh, his wife must be having a baby. And then I laugh, and the laughter removes all of the negative. My teacher said, if you're feeling kind of down and really bad, and you feel life is overwhelming you and it's just a terrible, terrible place, that you should call up your closest friend and just unload on them. Just let them have it. Tell them everything that was wrong, that's going wrong in your life. But he says you have to do it in a foreign accent. Try it. I've done it many times. And it's just hard to hold on to it when you're talking, and even talking to yourself. They left me all alone. I did not know what to do. I'm standing beside myself, wasting valueless time. Anyway, you go all through the whole thing. Create your own French or English accent or whatever, but not in your regular voice. Something foreign. And watch how ridiculous it sounds after a while. The other thing, as we practiced last week, was practice laughing. You do this by yourself, as we did last week. You go ha 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 ha, he he, ho 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 ho, hoot 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 hoot. You do the different, and then you combine them up. Pretty soon you start laughing. You're taking life much too seriously. This is a dream, and you need to wake up from the dream. And the way you can do it is by smiling. You have to laugh at the devil. Just laugh at the absurdity of it all. This is an eternal creation here. This does not stop. You never, ever stop creating your life. The Buddha nature flows through you, and it never stops. But you're the one that's taking that Buddha nature and twisting it into this is good and that's bad and this is fun and that's not fun. Just start looking at yourself. You don't need to have a sense of humor at the expense of others. I don't like watching a lot of those TV shows where they where they're supposed to have a lot of canned laughter. And, some guy's walking across the yard and he steps on a rake and it comes up and hits him in the face and everybody laughs. I don't think that's very funny. If it's not funny to the guy that's is happening to, then it's not funny. What's your humor? Have it be clean. Clean humor is really key. My teacher was one of the funniest guys I know, and his humor never was at the expense of anyone else. So having a clean, pure sense of humor helps. Plus the vibration of a really clean joke or a really clean sense of humor raises the vibration of everybody. I have one of my good friends I've known for 30 years. We'll get on a conversation, and at the end of every conversation, he'll tell me a joke. It's just the greatest thing in the world. We sit and laugh and laugh and laugh, and that's how we end our conversation. Humor is something that you kind of have to practice on yourself and also see how you can be nice with others. It helps if you go through your life smiling. People love to be smiled at. And if anyone looks at you and catches your eye, you should smile and say hi. Why not? They're not going to steal your power. Nobody can steal your power unless you let them. Once again, I want to thank you for your support. And also, in case you don't know, you can go to the Enlightenment Sangha website and you can, I think, see all of our videos. I know they're on YouTube. So you can check on some of my past videos. Have a great week. Take some time to laugh at yourself. Increase your meditation. Seek God in every word and everything that you say. You are God in the flesh. You are a unique, creative being. You are precious. You are amazing. And you cannot be defeated. Yeah, temporarily maybe, but not in the long run. You're an eternal being. Namaste.